Yes, sir. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. I'm out here on this new build. This is what's going on. This is what I'm talking about right here, man. This is what we doing, man. What's good, man? It's your boy Black Terry, man. Hood Politics, man. Out here on the road, man, getting this. It smell like Amish money. Smell like Amish money. Boy, this your boy Black Terry, man. I'm tapping in, man. Listen, man, your boy DJ Akademiks, man, he on one. DJ Akademiks has recently ignited a back and forth with the Let's Talk About It podcast. Jim Jones, Mano, Davies, and Fabulous. And it all started with Akademiks making a joke about Fab wearing a headband, like a basketball headband. What Akademiks doesn't know is, I say Fab is probably the dude that made that look possible. Akademiks, let me tell you something about fashion, man. No generation has a monopoly on fashion. Fashion is retro, man. Fashion, some of the stuff you guys wearing now, this generation, was being worn in the 70s. It's an evolutional trend that just kind of goes like, and let me tell you something. Looks fade, Akademiks. Look fade, but man, fly forever, man. You don't age out of fly, man. Y'all have this ageism, man, in hip hop that's weird, man. You know, like myself, man. You know, I'm a successful businessman. I'm mature and very solid in my principles and how I move and how I talk. But I'm fly. I know how to get fly. I know how to, you know what I'm saying? I know how to put that shit on. And that's that 90s dope boy swag. Y'all don't get it, man. 90s dope boys, man, that swag, man, it influenced the culture. Fashion was highly influenced because that's when the birth of urban fashion, Fat Farm, Carl Kanai, all these brands, they blew up and made millions of dollars. Rockaware. That was 90s dope boy fashion, man. So, man, this ageism with the fashion that, because you 50, you supposed to, I'm 52. And I'm telling you now, there ain't no young boy out there can fuck with me in dressing. Ain't no young boy out there that's going to see me on no dressing, man. And remember, wearing labels ain't fashion, bro. Wearing designer labels, that's not fashion. That's just designer. Fashion is something deeper. It's creative. It's self-expression. And if Fab was feeling like wearing a headband, man, this shit, but it was a joke. Like you said, it was a joke. And I admire Akademiks, man. He has heart. Akademiks has heart. To be honest, hip-hop needs a voice like Akademiks. Because, sometimes you need somebody from the outside to point out the hypocrisies. Because when you're within the culture, the street culture, hip-hop culture, you don't see the hypocrisies. And I think DJ Akademiks, being an outsider, being an immigrant, he came along and he's pointing out a lot of hypocrisies in the street culture and in hip-hop. And that's why I coined the phrase, and I coined this phrase, you can go back on my platform, hip-hocracy. Hip-hocracy. Recently DJ Akademiks, he pointed his sharp insults, man, at the entire Let's Talk About It podcast. Jim Jones, Mano, Davies, Fabulous. And, I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to say this, Akademiks. I like you, young man. You're very intelligent. You're educated. Your point of view is very sharp. You're very good with your research, thorough. And I like that. We need you. We need people like you. And I ain't going to lie, man. The OGs, we're not lame. The OGs aren't lame. They're not lame. You just see a generation of guys who are awkwardly adjusting to this modern culture. And some of us aren't having a real good time. Some of us having a tough time making that adjustment because we come up in a different era. We were conditioned differently. We was conditioned to get it by the muscle, the hard way, the sweat of our brow. We didn't sit behind a keyboard and run the bag up. We had to go out there and get it. And it was tough. It was tough out there. It was tough out there in the 90s, 80s, 90s. It was tough out there, bro. Talking about you had to be strong, man. You had to be strong, Akademiks. So respect that part of it, man. Because, like I said, we come from an era that prepared us differently. But don't get it twisted. We are them ones. 90s, 80s, babies, 90s. We them ones. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's fashion, whether it's streets, whether it's music, we them ones. Don't get it twisted. The best music and fashion was created in the 90s, man. Flat out, hands down. I put that up against anybody. The biggest brands, the most money was made in the 90s. Independent. You know what I mean? But I'm not gonna lie, man. I can't lie. My peers aren't looking good right now. Guys in my age groups, man, 40s, 50s. We got a lot of drunk unks. We got a lot of goofies. And I apologize. As y'all big homie, as the big homie, as an OG, as a man who left a mark on his community and still continue to do so. I apologize. I really do, because a lot of my peers aren't living up to the expectation of being an OG, being a man. We're not representing well. And I apologize. Not because we're bad men. But because we were sold a lie. My generations was sold a lie. And I don't expect you to understand this, academics, because you don't come from the culture. You're an immigrant. You have that immigrant mindset, and immigrant mindsets don't understand black culture. And actually, it's fascinating to you guys. Black culture is fascinating to black immigrants. But at some point, DJ Akademiks, I would hope that you use your platform more to edify than to incite, okay? This has come from your OG, man. And you my OG in the podcasting world. I don't do this. I do this because, let me tell you why I started Akademiks even doing this. Because listening to the voices that had the loudest platforms that were giving so much bad information about the streets, about the feds. We got, sometimes, man, a dumb nigga sounds smart to another dumb nigga. And we got a lot of the blind leading the blind, misinformation, bad information. And it's unfortunate. And I couldn't sit back and keep screaming at my phone on the screen. I said, if you have a problem, speak out. And I don't have no big following. I do okay. I mean, I don't do this for money. I'm monetized, but my motivation isn't money. It's to put something in our culture that hasn't been there, and that's the truth. And give some perspective. Other than this, like you say, you made in a post where you was going back at Mano about usually if everybody agrees with a person, there's something wrong with them. There's something wrong with their platform. They're not being effective, and I agree with that. It's a lot of antiquated thinking that runs our culture. Bro. And and I like the fact that you held your nuts, man, and you went into Joe Budden podcast and let's talk about their cognitive biases, this thinking that it's not rational. And yeah, the young lady, don't call me white girl, please, man. Joe, get her. She's I'm sure she's a sweet young lady. I'm certain she's a sweet young lady, but there was a time in our culture that if you weren't under a certain understanding or intellect, you weren't allowed to speak. You shouldn't even be speaking. And I think that's the case. And I commend you for pointing out the lack of life philosophy that the Let's Talk About It podcast offers. Because if y'all targeting young people, you should be giving them life insight and game and understanding. You do sitting up, it's a fashion. Y'all really should be talking about fashion on that podcast, because it's a fashion show. That's all it is. Y'all be fly. I would tell you, 90s dope boy, y'all be fly. But all it is a fashion show, man. Y'all not talking about nothing of no substance. So he's right. This is where y'all continue to fail and drop the ball. You're not talking about nothing with any substance. But on the flip side of that, Akademiks, I want you to understand something, young man, and I commend you again. What you see is a tired generation of men who made decisions as children, that they still live with those decisions today as men. Appreciate you. Hood Politics, Black Terry, tap in. Peace.